The Discovery. Commander Elena Reyes stood at the edge of the ancient alien city, staring across the crumbling structures that stretched toward the horizon of Proxima 9. The rust-colored dust of the planet swirled around her boots as the wind picked up, carrying the howl of time across a civilization long dead. 3 weeks of survey work had yielded little more than broken artifacts and corroded machinery, nothing to justify the expedition's cost, or the 6 months they'd spent in cryo-sleep to reach this system. Commander, called Dr. Marcus Way, the expedition's chief science officer, his voice crackling through her helmet comm. We should wrap up for today. Dust storm approaching from the southwest. Elena nodded, though she knew he couldn't see the gesture from his position at the base camp 2 kilometers away. Roger that. Just giving Sector 7 one final sweep. With all due respect, Commander, we've thoroughly examined that sector. There's nothing of value there, just more decay. The dismissal in Way's voice was barely concealed. Elena ignored the comment. Marcus had been pushing to abandon the expedition early, arguing that Proxima 9 was just another dead end in humanity's search for advanced alien technology. 6 previously explored systems had yielded nothing of significant value, and the Interstellar Survey Command was growing impatient with the lack of return on their massive investments. 10 more minutes, Elena replied, her eyes drawn to a partially collapsed structure she hadn't noticed before. Something about its architecture differed from the other buildings, more angular, with what appeared to be symbols etched into its facade. She approached cautiously, the exosuit's sensors automatically recording environmental data as she moved. The entrance was partially blocked by debris, but Elena managed to squeeze through a narrow opening. Her helmet lights illuminated the interior, revealing a chamber untouched by the external erosion. The walls were lined with the same strange symbols she had noticed outside, and at the center of the room sat a pedestal. On it rested a cylindrical object approximately 40 centimeters long and 15 in diameter. Unlike everything else on this planet, it appeared relatively intact despite a coating of corrosion. Elena approached slowly, her heart rate increasing as her suit's sensors detected a faint energy signature emanating from the object. I found something, she reported, her voice tight with excitement. Another piece of junk, Way responded, not bothering to hide his skepticism. No, this is different. Elena carefully lifted the cylinder. It felt oddly warm even through her gloves, and for a moment, she thought she saw the symbols on its surface pulse with a dull blue light. It's giving off energy readings. Faint, but definitely active. Probably residual radiation. Don't get your hopes up, Commander. Elena carefully placed the cylinder in her sample container. I'm bringing it in. Tell Specialist Zhang to prepare the isolation lab. Back at the research vessel Horizon, Elena supervised as the cylindrical object was placed in the ship's secure analysis chamber. The research team gathered around the viewing window as preliminary scans were conducted. Initial analysis shows an unknown alloy composition, reported Zhang, the materials specialist. The corrosion is superficial. The internal structure appears completely intact. She looked up from her console with wide eyes. And Commander, it's generating its own power, albeit at extremely low levels. Dr. Wei frowned, adjusting his glasses as he reviewed the data. Interesting, but hardly revolutionary. Probably a simple power cell or beacon. We've found similar devices before. Not like this, Elena countered, pointing to the readouts. The energy signature is fluctuating in patterns too complex for a simple beacon. And look at these markings. They're not static. They're changing. The team watched as the symbols on the cylinder's surface shifted subtly, rearranging themselves into new patterns. It could be responding to our scans, suggested Lieutenant Costa, the team's sinolinguist. These might be some form of written language. Wei shook his head dismissively. Don't anthropomorphize it. This could simply be an automated response to external stimuli. He turned to Elena. I recommend we place it in storage until we return to Earth. Let the labs back home deal with it. Elena felt a surge of frustration. This is the first active technology we found in 3 years of expeditions, and you want to lock it away. I want to follow protocol, Commander. Unknown alien technology with active power sources requires specialized containment procedures. Later that night, after the rest of the crew had retired to their quarters, Alina returned to the lab. She couldn't explain the compulsion that drew her back to the cylinder, but something about it called to her. She input her override codes and entered the isolation chamber, approaching the artifact with a mixture of caution and fascination. Without the bulky exosuit gloves, she could see the fine details of the symbols more clearly. They seemed to flow like liquid when she looked at them directly, yet remained static in her peripheral vision. Against all protocol and better judgment, Alina reached out and touched the surface of the cylinder. The effect was immediate. The device hummed to life, the symbols illuminating with brilliant blue light. Alina tried to pull away, but found herself unable to break contact, as if an invisible force held her hand in place. Her mind filled with fragmented images, stars, planets, and vast machines of incomprehensible purpose. She saw beings of light manipulating the fabric of reality, and civilizations rising and falling across millennia. Then, as suddenly as it began, the connection broke. Alina stumbled backward, gasping for breath as the cylinder returned to its previous dormant state, though the symbols continued to glow faintly. "What are you?" she whispered, her voice shaking. The ship's alarm blared, jolting Alina from her trance. She rushed to the bridge, where the night shift crew was already at their stations. "Multiple vessels just appeared in orbit, Commander," reported Lieutenant Rivera, the navigation officer. "They weren't there a minute ago. No warp signatures, no approach vectors. They just appeared." The main view screen showed 7 massive ships surrounding the horizon. Their design was unlike anything in the known galaxy. Organic curves merged with geometric precision, creating structures that seemed to defy conventional engineering. "Are they transmitting?" Alina asked, taking her position in the command chair. "Yes, but not on any recognized frequencies. The universal translator is struggling to. Wait, we're getting something." The speakers crackled with a deep, resonant voice that seemed to bypass their translation systems and speak directly into their minds. "Humans of Earth vessel, you have taken what is not yours. Return the cleanser immediately, or face extinction." The bridge crew exchanged alarmed glances. "The cylinder," Alina realized. "They're here for the cylinder." Dr. Wei rushed onto the bridge, his face pale. "Commander, the artifact. It's fully activated. The energy readings are off the charts." The alien voice spoke again. "We are the Vekari, guardians of the final sanction. The cleanser was sealed on this world for a reason. Your tampering has alerted us to its awakening. You have 1 planetary rotation to surrender it, or we will reclaim it by force." The communication cut off abruptly, leaving a heavy silence on the bridge. "We should give it to them," Wei said firmly. "Whatever this thing is, it's clearly dangerous." Alina stared at the alien vessels on the screen. Their design spoke of technology centuries beyond human capabilities. The Horizon was a research vessel with minimal defensive systems. They wouldn't stand a chance in a confrontation. "No," she said finally. "Something doesn't add up. They called it the cleanser, a weapon of some kind. But when I touched it..." She paused, realizing she hadn't told anyone about her experience. "When you what?" Wei demanded. "I made contact with it. It showed me visions, not destruction, but creation. Whatever this device is, I don't think it's what they're claiming." Wei's expression hardened. "You broke quarantine protocols?" "Commander, that's a discussion for another time." Alina cut him off. "Right now, we need to understand what we're dealing with." She turned to Lieutenant Costa. "I want you analyzing those symbols. Cross-reference with every known language in our databases." "And what do we tell the Vekari?" Rivera asked. Alina looked back at the alien ships looming in orbit. "Tell them we're studying their request and will respond within their deadline." In the meantime, prepare the shuttle for emergency evacuation. If this goes sideways, I want a contingency." As the crew scrambled to carry out her orders, Alina returned to the isolation lab. The cylinder now hovered several centimeters above the examination table, rotating slowly as pulses of blue energy radiated from its surface. "What are you?" she whispered again. "And why are they so afraid of you?" The symbols pulsed in response, as if acknowledging her questions. Alina felt certain that the fate of her crew, and perhaps much more, hinged on unlocking the secrets of this ancient device before the Vakari deadline expired. The truth revealed. The Vakari ultimatum hung over the horizon like a shroud. 12 hours had passed since their arrival, and Alina had spent every minute of it in the isolation lab with the cylinder. Lieutenant Costa worked alongside her, his eyes bloodshot from staring at the shifting symbols. "I found partial matches with several extinct languages," Costa reported, rubbing his temples. "There's a syntactical structure similar to the fragments recovered from the Andromeda ruins, but the symbols themselves—" He shook his head. "They're in constant flux. As soon as I identify a pattern, it changes." Alina nodded, her own fatigue evident in the dark circles under her eyes. The cylinder continued its slow rotation, the blue energy pulses growing steadily stronger. "Commander," Dr. Wei's voice came through the intercom. "The Vakari ships are moving into an attack formation. Their leader is demanding to speak with you directly." "Put them through to the lab," Alina replied, straightening her uniform jacket. The lab's display screen flickered to life, revealing a being that defied easy description. The Vakari appeared vaguely humanoid, but with elongated features and skin that shifted colors like oil on water. 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern studied Alina with unsettling intensity. "Human, Commander." The alien's voice resonated directly in her mind rather than through the speakers. "I am Sovereign Protector Xari of the Vakari Conclave. Your delay tests our patience. Surrender the cleanser now." Alina met the alien's gaze steadily. "Sovereign Protector, we mean no disrespect, but we don't fully understand what this device is or why it was left on Proxima 9. Perhaps if you shared your knowledge." "Your understanding is irrelevant," Xari interrupted. "The cleanser is a relic of the Architects, created to purge corrupted worlds. It was sealed on that dead planet after the last great purification, to be reclaimed only by the Vakari when needed again." "Purification," Alina echoed, a chill running down her spine. "You're saying this is a weapon." "It is the weapon," Xari corrected, "capable of cleansing entire star systems of life. For millennia, we have served as its guardians, using it only when evolutionary corruption threatens the cosmic balance." Alina glanced at the cylinder, still rotating peacefully behind her. "That contradicts what I experienced when I made contact with it. I saw creation, not destruction." Xari's skin darkened to a deep purple. "You touched the sacred relic." "Impossible. No species but the Vakari can survive direct contact." "Yet here I stand," Alina replied. "And what I saw suggests this device has a different purpose than the one you describe." The alien's 4 eyes narrowed simultaneously. "Your ignorance endangers all. The cleanser responds to thought patterns. It shows what the wielder desires. You saw creation because that is what your primitive mind craves. In Vakari hands, it fulfills its true purpose." An idea formed in Alina's mind. Dangerous, potentially catastrophic, but possibly their only chance. "Then prove it," she challenged. "If only the Vakari can truly connect with this device, come aboard and demonstrate." Xari was silent for a long moment. "You invite me onto your vessel. Under a flag of truce. Bring 2 of your people. No weapons. We'll meet in our containment lab with the device. If you can activate it as you claim, we'll surrender it willingly. And if this is deception," Alina gestured to the massive Vakari ships visible through the lab's viewport, "your fleet could destroy us in seconds. We have nothing to gain by treachery." After another pause, Xari nodded. "Agreed. Prepare for our arrival." When the communication ended, Wei exploded with objections. Commander, have you lost your mind? You're inviting the aliens who just threatened to annihilate us onto our ship. It's our only play, Alina insisted. Something about their story doesn't add up. The cylinder responds to me in ways that contradict everything they're claiming. And if they're right? If this is a doomsday weapon? Alina looked at the gently rotating cylinder. Then we're already dead. 2 hours later, Alina stood in the expanded containment area as a Vicari shuttle docked with the horizon. Security officers lined the corridors, though their weapons would be useless if the aliens decided to attack. This was a gamble based entirely on Alina's intuition and her unexplainable connection to the ancient device. Sovereign Protector Xeri entered the lab flanked by 2 Vicari, who appeared to be some form of scientific or religious advisors, judging by their elaborate garments. They moved with fluid grace, their skin shifting through a spectrum of blues and purples. The cleanser, Xeri demanded, all 4 eyes fixed on the hovering cylinder. Before you approach it, Alina said, I want to propose a joint examination. Your knowledge of its history, combined with our fresh perspective, might reveal truths neither of us fully understands. There is nothing to understand that we do not already know. Xeri replied dismissively, moving toward the device. As the Vicari leader approached, the cylinder's rotation slowed, and the blue energy pulses dimmed noticeably. Xeri reached out with long, 6-fingered hands, placing them on the device's surface. The symbols flashed briefly, then faded almost entirely. Confusion crossed the alien's features. It resists. This has never happened. Xeri turned to the advisors. The containment field. They must be suppressing its function. We've applied no fields, Alina explained, stepping forward. It responds differently to me. Watch. She placed her hand on the cylinder, careful not to touch Xeri. Immediately, the device flared with brilliant blue light, its rotation resuming at increased speed. The symbols flowed like quicksilver across its surface, pulsing in complex patterns. Xeri jerked back, skin flashing to an angry red. Deception. You've corrupted the sacred relic. Not corruption, Alina countered. Connection. It's responding to intention, not authority. She kept her hand on the cylinder, feeling the now familiar presence in her mind. You call yourselves guardians, but you seek to control rather than understand. The Vicari advisors moved closer, their skin shifting to curious yellows and greens. One spoke in their melodic language to Xeri, who responded with sharp, dismissive sounds. What did they say? Alina asked. Xeri remained silent, but one of the advisors answered. I suggested that the ancient texts speak of a test, that the architect's devices would recognize worthy successors not by dominance, but by harmony. Alina nodded slowly. That aligns with what I experienced. This isn't a weapon meant to destroy. It's a key meant to unlock. Heresy, Xeri hissed, but doubt had crept into the Sovereign Protector's voice. Try again, Alina suggested. But this time, don't approach it as a tool to be wielded. Approach it as a teacher to be learned from. After a moment of internal struggle visible in the rapid color changes across Xeri's skin, the Vicari leader placed a hand on the cylinder once more. This time, Alina kept her hand in place as well, their fingers almost touching on the ancient surface. The effect was immediate and extraordinary. The cylinder expanded, its form flowing and reshaping into a complex geometric structure that filled the center of the lab with shimmering light. Symbols from its surface projected outward, forming a 3-dimensional matrix of interconnected patterns. Images flooded Alina's mind, not fragmented this time, but crystal clear. The architects, beings of energy and matter combined, seeding the galaxy with life. Civilizations rising, evolving, some warring and destroying themselves, others reaching toward a greater understanding of existence, and finally, the creation of devices like the cylinder, placed throughout the galaxy as nodes of a vast network, waiting for species evolved enough to activate them. Elena could sense that Xeri was seeing the same visions, the Vakari leader's skin now pulsing with the same blue light as the transformed device. It was never a weapon. Xeri whispered in awe. The ancient texts were mistranslated across generations. The cleansing was metaphorical, a clearing away of ignorance, not life. The matrix of symbols coalesced into a holographic representation of the galaxy, with thousands of points of light scattered throughout, other devices waiting to be activated. Lines of energy began connecting these points, forming a web of communication that had lain dormant for millennia. The architects didn't abandon us, one of the Vakari advisors realized. They left us a path to follow when we were ready. As the holographic display expanded, Elena noticed something remarkable. The system containing Earth was illuminated with particular brightness, as were several other systems throughout the galaxy. These are worlds where the devices have already been activated, she guessed. Other species who passed the test. A community of enlightened civilizations. Xeri agreed, the hostility completely gone from the Vakari leader's voice, waiting for others to join them. The transformed device pulsed once more, then projected a final message, not in symbols this time, but in a universal language of pure thought that all present could understand. The network awaits. The journey begins. As the light faded, the device returned to its cylindrical form. Though now gleaming like new, all corrosion gone. It settled gently into Elena's hands, warm and alive with potential. Xeri looked at Elena with a new respect. For millennia, we believed ourselves to be the chosen guardians of a weapon of judgment. Instead, we were merely custodians, waiting for the right moment and the right partnership to unlock its true purpose. And now? Elena asked. Now, Commander Elena Reyes, our species have a galaxy to explore together. Xeri's skin shifted to a calm, harmonious blue. The architects built their network to be activated by cooperation between different forms of intelligence, a safeguard ensuring that only species capable of working together would gain access to their knowledge. Dr. Wei, who had watched the entire exchange in stunned silence, finally spoke. So this device, all these devices, they're what? Some kind of interstellar communication network. More than communication, Elena replied, understanding flowing from her connection with the cylinder. They're repositories of knowledge, gateways to technologies we can barely imagine, and bridges between civilizations that might otherwise never find each other. She looked up at the holographic galaxy still shimmering above them, the web of connections growing stronger with each passing moment. We've been searching the stars for signs of intelligent life, never realizing that the true test was whether that life could recognize itself in others, regardless of form or origin. Xeri extended a six-fingered hand toward Elena. The Vakari Conclave would be honored to forge an alliance with humanity as we explore this legacy together. Elena took the alien's hand, feeling the same resonance she'd experienced with the device. Not a forced connection, but a natural harmony between different forms of consciousness united by curiosity and wonder. The Interstellar Survey Command will be very interested in redefining its mission, she said with a smile. From seeking technology to seeking understanding. As human and Vakari stood together beneath the glowing network of ancient connections, Elena thought about the rusty cylinder she discovered just a day earlier. Not a Doomsday device as feared, but a key that had unlocked the next chapter in the evolution of conscious life in the galaxy. The journey was just beginning.